Look at this vault door as it swings open into the dark. This is the best way to understand the premise of therapy. You are paying a premium to store your most sensitive, damaging truths in a highly secure, elite information system. For a 34-year-old woman we'll call Sarah, this system cost $200 a session. Over 2 years, she made regular deposits, handing over her darkest fears, family estrangements, and highly specific relationship vulnerabilities to her therapist. The entire arrangement relies on a strict psychological contract. You assume the professional sitting across from you is an impenetrable guard, sworn by ethics and law to keep the door locked. So when a therapist breaks that contract, it is a catastrophic breach of secure data. The patient is left completely defenseless, their deepest secrets exposed to the open air. Sarah discovered her own data breach at a dinner party. She was sitting with a separate social circle when the host began entertaining the table with stories from a friend, a therapist who liked to share the fascinating situations she encountered at work. Midway through the main course, the host detailed a patient with an unusual relationship pattern. Then she quoted a very specific phrase about loneliness. Sarah recognized the exact words immediately. They were hers. She had spoken them in session 4 months earlier. Speaking up at that table, or calling her therapist right then, would be a massive strategic failure. Confronting an authority figure immediately only alerts them to the leak, giving them time to gaslight the patient, deny the claims, or destroy their notes. How exactly do you regain power over an abuser who already holds all your secrets? Sarah had surrendered her leverage. Now she had to build a trap to get it back. The natural human response to this kind of betrayal is devastation. Sarah allowed herself 3 days to cry. Then the tears stopped, and she pivoted into a state of cold, calculated organization. This diagram illustrates an intelligence tactic known as poisoning the well. Instead of stopping the leak of true blue data points, the victim injects a flood of red, false information into the same system. Sarah executed this by attending 6 more weeks of therapy. During these sessions, she delivered emotionally authentic, compelling, but entirely fabricated stories about hidden relationships and legal disputes with neighbors. She designed these fictions to be highly memorable. If her therapist decided to use her as dinner party entertainment again, the gossip she spread would consist of verifiable, traceable lies. This flood of false data creates a credibility trap. If the therapist repeats these new lies and is caught, her word becomes worthless to the licensing board. By polluting the information stream, Sarah ensured that any secret the therapist tried to weaponize in the future would be dismissed as just another potential fabrication. Those 6 weeks were a systematic reverse engineering of the therapist's own weapon. Sarah stripped the professional of her power long before making her final strike. When Sarah arrived for her final session, the atmosphere was perfectly standard. She sat in the usual chair. But as the therapist attempted the routine small talk, Sarah cut her off. She explicitly detailed the dinner party leak from 6 weeks prior. She quoted her own stolen phrase back to the therapist. Then she informed the woman that everything recorded in her clinical notes since that night was entirely fabricated fiction. Before the therapist could even attempt to speak, Sarah placed a printed document on the desk between them. A formal complaint, already filed with the state licensing board. To snap the lock shut, Sarah revealed one final detail. She had already secured the dinner party host as a cooperating witness. The board had the testimony. There was zero room for deniability. By arriving with a pre-filed complaint and a confirmed witness, Sarah ensured the investigation would proceed based on external evidence. The therapist lost her practice because Sarah documented the breach and removed any opportunity for the professional to hide the truth. The state board launched a 4-month investigation. The therapist's license was suspended, and she eventually exited private practice completely. When Sarah shared her methods online, the internet reaction was explosive. Hundreds of thousands of people validated her response, driven by a universal fear of what happens when our most vulnerable moments are weaponized against us. Sarah viewed the outcome as a direct result of the therapist's choice to trade confidentiality for entertainment. In Sarah's view, her own role was simply that of a whistleblower who made sure the state boards saw the evidence of that choice. We are left looking at 2 simultaneous truths. Sitting in a room for 6 weeks, feeding fake trauma to a caregiver requires a terrifyingly cold-blooded mindset. Yet, it was also the deeply necessary self-protection of a patient who had been profoundly betrayed. Which leaves a lingering question. Was the 6-week disinformation campaign a strictly necessary measure to protect her privacy? Or, considering the complaint and the witness were already secured, did the fabricated data cross the line into pure vengeance? Let me know where you draw the line down in the comments.